Have you ever met someone who seemed to read your mind? Someone who understood you so deeply it was almost scary? Chances are, you might have encountered an INFJ, the rarest personality type in the world. But here's the real question that brings us together today: what happens when you push these intuitive empaths too far? What makes them transform from your greatest advocate into someone who might never speak to you again? Let's dive into this fascinating journey of understanding why testing an INFJ might be one of the biggest mistakes you could ever make. The gentle giant's breaking point. In the vast landscape of personality types, INFJ stand out like rare gems, making up less than 1% of the global population. They're often called the advocates or the counselors, and for good reason. These individuals possess an almost magical combination of intuition and empathy that makes them exceptional at understanding others. Think of them as emotional sponges who not only absorb the feelings around them but also process them deeply, finding patterns and meanings that others might miss. But here's where it gets interesting and potentially dangerous. INFJ are like those premium pressure cookers with multiple safety valves. They can handle immense emotional and psychological pressure, adapting and accommodating others' needs while maintaining their composure. However, just like any high-quality pressure cooker, when all those safety valves are compromised, the resulting release isn't just a simple pop, it's a complete system shutdown. Imagine having a friend who remembers every birthday, knows exactly how you like your coffee, and can tell when you're having a bad day before you even mention it. Now imagine that same friend completely disappearing from your life, not just physically, but emotionally erasing every trace of your existence from their world. That's what happens when you push an INFJ too far. The door slam more than just ghosting. The infamous INFJ door slam isn't your typical social media blocking or avoiding someone at parties. It's a profound, almost surgical removal of emotional investment that happens on a soul level. When an INFJ implements the door slam, they're not just creating distance, they're fundamentally altering their emotional landscape to exclude someone who was once central to their world. Think about what it takes to make someone who naturally seeks to understand and connect with others decide that the healthiest thing they can do is to completely shut someone out. The door slam isn't a dramatic exit or an attention-seeking gesture, it's a quiet, final decision made after countless attempts to maintain harmony and understanding have failed. What makes this particularly fascinating is how the INFJ can appear completely normal to outside observers while having entirely removed someone from their emotional universe. They might still be polite in social situations, might even smile and exchange pleasantries, but behind those courteous gestures lies an impenetrable wall that few, if any, have ever managed to breach once it's been erected. Why testing an INFJ is playing with fire. Testing an INFJ is like repeatedly poking holes in a dam while expecting it to hold water indefinitely. These individuals possess an extraordinary capacity for forgiveness and understanding, but they also have an elephant's memory when it comes to emotional experiences. Every time you test their boundaries, question their intuition, or betray their trust, you're not just creating a single crack, you're contributing to a complex network of fissures that could ultimately lead to a catastrophic collapse. INFJ process experiences differently than most people. They don't just remember what happened, they remember how it made them feel, what it meant in the greater context of their relationship with you, and most importantly, what it revealed about your character. They're constantly updating their understanding of people and situations, creating detailed mental maps of relationships and interactions. When you test an INFJ, you're not just challenging their patience, you're forcing them to revise their entire understanding of who you are and what you mean to them. It's like editing a complex document where changing one sentence might require restructuring the entire narrative. Each test, each breach of trust, each dismissal of their insights forces them to reconsider everything they thought they knew about you. The hidden warning signs. Before an INFJ reaches their breaking point, they typically show subtle signs that something's amiss. However, these signs are often so nuanced that most people miss them entirely until it's too late. Picture someone slowly dimming the lights in a room. At first, the change is barely noticeable, but eventually you find yourself in darkness. The first sign often manifests in their eyes. INFJ typically maintain deep, meaningful eye contact during conversations, making others feel truly seen and heard. When they start feeling tested or hurt, that soul-searching gaze begins to shift. They might still look at you, but their eyes lose that special warmth that made you feel so understood. Their responses begin to change too. Where once they offered deep, insightful perspectives on your situations, they might start giving shorter, more surface-level responses. The personal stories they used to share become fewer and farther between. It's like watching a flower slowly close its petals, subtle at first, but unmistakable once you know what to look for. The patience paradox. One of the most deceptive aspects of INFJ personality is what I call the patience paradox. These individuals can demonstrate almost superhuman levels of patience and understanding, leading others to believe they're completely fine with whatever situation they're in. This extraordinary patience, however, masks a complex internal process of evaluation and boundary setting. Think of it like a credit card with no preset spending limit. You might keep charging expenses to it, thinking there's no end to available credit, but somewhere, there is a limit. You just don't know what it is until you've crossed it. Similarly, an INFJ patience might seem endless, but they're constantly processing and evaluating experiences, adding them to an invisible tally that you can't see. The danger lies in mistaking their patience for acceptance. Just because an INFJ hasn't reacted negatively to something doesn't mean they're okay with it. They're likely processing, analyzing, and trying to understand the situation from every angle before deciding how to respond. When they finally do reach their limit, it often seems sudden and unexpected to others, even though for the INFJ, it's the result of a long and careful deliberation. The emotional depth you can't see. The emotional world of an INFJ is like a vast ocean. What you see on the surface barely hints at the complexity that lies beneath. While most people might experience emotions in a relatively straightforward way, INFJ process feelings through multiple layers of meaning and connection. Every experience, every interaction, gets filtered through their intricate web of intuition, past experiences, and deep understanding of human nature. Imagine having a high-definition emotional camera that captures not just the main event, but every subtle nuance, every fleeting expression, every unspoken word. That's how an INFJ experiences the world. When you test them, you're not just dealing with the immediate emotional response to your actions. You're triggering a complex analysis that connects past, present, and future implications of the relationship. This depth also means that INFJ often carry emotional burdens that others can't see or understand. They might smile and nod during a conversation while simultaneously processing layers of subtext, underlying motivations, and potential future outcomes. It's like running multiple emotional programs simultaneously, each one analyzing different aspects of the same situation. The protection mode. When INFJ go into defense. When an INFJ switches into protection mode, it's like watching a master strategist prepare for battle. But unlike typical defensive reactions, which might be obvious and immediate, the INFJ response is subtle, methodical, and thoroughly planned. They don't just protect themselves, they create an intricate shield that guards both their own heart and the hearts of those they care about. This defensive strategy often begins with emotional distancing, but not in an obvious way. They might maintain their usual routines and interactions, but they're quietly building emotional firewalls. It's like watching someone slowly reinforce their house, adding stronger locks, installing security systems, and creating safe rooms, all while the exterior looks completely unchanged. The fascinating part is how INFJ can maintain their empathy and understanding even while in protection mode. They might fully understand why someone is acting the way they are, empathize with their struggles, and still choose to create boundaries for their own well-being. It's a unique combination of compassion and self-preservation that few other personality types can manage with such grace. The cost of losing an INFJ trust. Losing an INFJ trust is like watching a library burn down. Once it's gone, rebuilding it isn't just difficult, it's almost impossible to recreate exactly what was lost. When an INFJ trusted you, they weren't just sharing their time and energy, they were giving you access to their intricate inner world, their deepest insights, and their most vulnerable thoughts. The cost isn't just measured in lost friendship or connection. You're losing someone who remembered every detail about your life with pristine clarity, could sense your moods before you even understood them yourself, kept track of your dreams and aspirations, often believing in them more than you did, saw past your facades to understand your true self, crafted thoughtful solutions to problems you hadn't even recognized yet. This loss extends beyond the personal relationship. INFJ often serve as emotional bridges in social groups, connecting different people and maintaining harmony. When you lose their trust, you might also lose access to their broader social ecosystem, where they've likely been quietly supporting and advocating for you behind the scenes. The aftermath: what happens when they're done? The aftermath of completely losing an INFJ isn't just about them removing you from their life, it's about watching them reconstruct their entire world without you in it. This process is thorough and methodical, like watching someone completely redesign a house after removing a load-bearing wall. They don't just adjust, they rebuild from the foundation up. During this reconstruction period, INFJ often review and reframe every memory and interaction, strengthen their relationships with those who remained loyal, channel their energy into personal growth and new connections, develop stronger boundaries and clearer warning systems, transform their pain into wisdom and deeper understanding. What's particularly interesting about this phase is how INFJ often emerge stronger and more self-aware. They don't just heal, they evolve. It's like watching a phoenix rise from the ashes, but instead of just being reborn, they come back with enhanced wisdom and clearer boundaries. Why INFJ react this way? The INFJ intense reactions to being tested stem from their unique cognitive wiring. Their dominant function, introverted intuition me, combined with extroverted feeling phi, creates a personality that's simultaneously highly perceptive and deeply concerned with harmony and authenticity in relationships. Think of their mind as an advanced pattern recognition system that's constantly running in the background. When you test them, you're not just challenging their current understanding, you're forcing their entire system to recalibrate. It's like updating the operating system of a computer. Every file and program needs to be checked for compatibility with the new information. Their reaction isn't just about being sensitive, it's about maintaining the integrity of their carefully constructed understanding of the world and the people in it. When someone repeatedly tests them, they're essentially forcing the INFJ to question their own intuition, their most trusted tool for navigating life and relationships. The recovery process: both sides of the story. The recovery process after an INFJ door slam is like watching two different movies playing simultaneously. On one screen, you have the person who tested the INFJ, often still trying to understand what happened, possibly stuck in denial or confusion. On the other screen, you have the INFJ, already several chapters ahead in their healing journey. For the INFJ, recovery involves deep internal processing of the entire relationship, careful examination of lessons learned, strengthening of intuitive warning systems, renewal of faith in their own judgment, transformation of pain into wisdom. Meanwhile, the other person might be still processing the initial shock, trying to understand the finality of the decision, attempting to find ways to rebuild the connection, gradually realizing the depth of what they've lost, learning hard lessons about respect and boundaries, how to make things right if you still can. If you've realized you've tested an INFJ and want to make amends, you're facing a challenge similar to trying to restore a deleted file. It requires specific conditions and perfect timing, and even then, success isn't guaranteed. The path to potential reconciliation requires understanding that you're not just apologizing for actions, you're asking for a complete rebuilding of trust. This process demands absolute honesty about your actions and their impact, genuine understanding of why your behavior was harmful, concrete demonstrations of change through consistent actions, respect for their timing and healing process, acceptance that the relationship may never be the same. Most importantly, any attempt at reconciliation must come from a place of genuine growth and understanding, not just a desire to ease your own guilt or regain what you've lost. INFJ can sense inauthentic attempts at reconciliation from miles away. The silver lining: learning from the experience. Every cloud has a silver lining, and even the painful experience of losing or testing an INFJ can offer profound lessons for personal growth. This situation often becomes a catalyst for deeper understanding of ourselves and our relationships, much like how pressure creates diamonds. For those who've tested an INFJ, you learn the true value of emotional intelligence. You understand that trust is a currency that can't be easily renewed once spent. You recognize that quiet strength often runs deeper than loud declarations. You discover that some people can't be replaced or substituted. You gain insight into the difference between surface connections and soul-deep bonds. For INFJ themselves, These experiences often lead to stronger, clearer boundaries that honor their intuition, better understanding of their own worth and value, enhanced ability to spot red flags early, deeper appreciation for authentic connections, refined skills in protecting their energy while remaining open to genuine relationships. The beauty of these lessons lies in their universality. Whether you're an INFJ or someone who's interacted with one, the fundamental truths about respect, authenticity, and genuine connection apply to all relationships. It's like discovering a manual for deeper human understanding that you didn't know you needed. The evolution of understanding. What makes the INFJ personality type particularly fascinating is how they continue to evolve and adapt through their experiences. Unlike some who might become bitter or closed off after difficult experiences, INFJ typically transform their pain into wisdom. They're like master alchemists, turning emotional lead into gold. This evolution manifests in several ways: deeper trust in their intuitive insights, more refined methods of creating boundaries, enhanced ability to communicate their needs, greater skill in balancing empathy with self-protection, improved capacity for identifying authentic connections. The process resembles a tree growing stronger after a storm. The roots go deeper, the trunk grows more resilient, and while some branches might be lost, new growth emerges stronger than before. This evolution isn't just about survival, it's about thriving through understanding. Final thoughts: the INFJ mirror. Perhaps the most profound aspect of interacting with an INFJ is how they serve as mirrors, reflecting not just who we are, but who we could become. Their ability to see potential in others, combined with their deep understanding of human nature, creates opportunities for profound personal growth if we're willing to learn from the experience. When you encounter an INFJ, you're not just meeting another personality type, you're encountering a unique perspective on human connection. They show us that true strength often lies in quiet conviction. Emotional depth is as valuable as intellectual prowess. Authenticity matters more than superficial charm. Actions truly speak louder than words. The deepest connections often form in silence. Conclusion: the wisdom and the warning. As we wrap up this exploration of why you should never test an INFJ, it becomes clear that this isn't just about avoiding negative consequences, it's about understanding and honoring one of the most complex and insightful personality types you might ever encounter. The warning, never test an INFJ, isn't meant to inspire fear, rather. It's an invitation to appreciate the depth and complexity of human connection. It's a reminder that some people enter our lives not just as friends or acquaintances, but as teachers who show us what it means to love deeply, think profoundly, and live authentically. For those lucky enough to have an INFJ in their lives, cherish their insights, honor their boundaries, appreciate their depth, respect their intuition, value their presence. Remember, an INFJ capacity for understanding and forgiveness might seem limitless, but their self-respect and inner wisdom will always guide them to protect their peace when necessary. In the end, the choice is yours. Will you be someone who tests their limits, or someone who treasures their trust? Sometimes the greatest gift we can give to the deep souls in our lives is the simple acknowledgement that we see them, understand them, and respect the boundaries they've set. Because in the end, it's not about avoiding consequences, it's about honoring the beautiful complexity of human connection.